5 to 10 million views monthly across your social accounts. Walk me through how you make that possible.
By pissing people off? No, seriously, I don't have a lot of gray area, and I stand for what I believe in. And to find how to speak to your niche, how to speak to your target audience, how to speak to the people that align with your values, if they can tell that you're authentic, they'll respect what you do. It comes with hate, no questions about it. It's, if you don't have any haters, you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something right. However you want to see it, it's pretty much the same, but yeah, it's just by being me, man. But I do understand. I've spent a lot of time learning the algorithm. I should say algorithms, because every single one of them is different, but I spend a lot of time looking at numbers. I'm a sales engineer by trade, so I know my numbers don't lie. I know what works. I know what doesn't. I spent 12 years, 13 years developing a sales style now that is just me. I know how to relay my thoughts into words that make sense to people, because that, I think, is what separates me from 99.9% of content creators out there. Is I don't come at it from a content creation. I come at it from a sales expert. I come at it from a marketing guy. I come at it from reverse engineering. Yeah, oh no, but that's no doubt. I'm a big fan of psychology, philosophy, theology, but what I mean is I reverse engineer everything that I do. I can look at my videos from 6 months ago and I find them cringy. Just 6 months ago. I can look at videos of me 3 months ago and I'm like, ooh. I can look at videos from 3 days ago that didn't perform and I'm like, I know exactly what was wrong with it. And you have to. Like, I'm extremely hard with myself. There's no, as much haters as I get every day, none of them are as hard as I am against myself. But let me say this, I never come at it from a negative portion. Bruce Lee said never to talk ill of yourself, because your subconscious mind does not know the difference. I never do speak ill of myself, but I can look at my content and say, you know what, this was bad. This hook was crap. You should have done this better. This was not good. Your cut there is terrible. It's just meant learn to look at what you do as a content creator. Really spend a lot of time looking at what you do, the type of content that's out there, and see how you gauge, how you fit compared to them.
It's a growing experience too. If you're not growing, you're
humbling. Dying. I wouldn't even say growing, it's a humbling. I think that as you grow, you become more and more humble. So it's a humbling experience to see your content out there and having it for the world to see.
How long did that take you to get used to seeing yourself when you first got going?
Man, that's a good question. I still don't watch a lot of my full podcasts. To this day, I get on. There's sometimes I edit a video and it takes forever and I get mad at here. Like, I turn the voice off my videos all the time. You know what? I have the caption on. So I'm good enough to cut it and to edit it as per the caption, but I get tired of hearing myself talk. But I don't know, man. How long did it take? I've been doing it my Facebook is reminding me that I've been doing it for more than 3 years. So it's probably between 3 and 4 years that I've been doing it. But I used to have a full-time job, man. Like, when I first started this, I had my 9 to 5 in the corporate world. I was a sales engineer, and it took me 1.5 years, 2 years. I was doing a full reno on my house by myself. So I was creating content anytime I got that was outside of those hours. I was trying to fit my content creation through this, and I was recording a lot of podcasts. But back then, all my podcasts were made face-to-face. I was not recording anything virtual, so it took a while, man. But it's really over the past year. Like, I quit my corporate job about 14 months ago, and the idea was to buy myself time. I wanted to buy myself a year to just do whatever I wanted to do. Whatever came up to mind, I wanted to go back to a time where I was bored, not knowing what I had to do. Really just sit down and see what comes to my heart. I'm very in tune with God. I'm very open-hearted when it comes to what he has to say. I don't question it. It's just, I used to think it was my instinct and I called it that for a long time, but I came to realize that it was just God speaking to me. But the point is that I have a lot of faith in what I do. I have a lot of faith in God. I have a lot of faith in what's going on in my life, and I just do it. I just do the work, man. At the end of the day, that's what it is. I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't really matter that it's a Saturday, a Sunday. It doesn't matter. I'm up between 3 and 4 every day, and there's no alarm clock. It's just I'm up, I'm working, and I just do the work, man. And I don't really question. I stopped listening to other people too. That's another thing. Because over the past year, I can tell you that I've dealt with quite a few people to help me do things. And by the end, they were wrong. I wasted time listening to them when I should have just done, I don't know for you, but my instincts has never been wrong. I've only been wrong when I didn't listen. It's definitely an interesting journey to just do what needs to get done without questioning it. It takes a lot of balls to do it, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time, right? I promised myself a long time ago I wouldn't live a life of regret. And there's two choices in life. You either live a hard life filled with purpose, or you live an easy life and you die full of regrets. Those are your two choices, and I refuse to die with regrets. So,
to touch on a little thing you said earlier, God gives us the vision. It's our job to execute on it.
Oh yeah, because we all have a destiny, but if you sit your ass on the couch watching Netflix every day, your destiny's not going to go far. You're not going to get to explore a lot of
not
it,
at all.
But you're absolutely right. God has expectations, and it's up to you to pay attention. It's up to you to have the courage to go after too. I've told this story 1,000 times, if it's not more, but I always keep this in mind. I heard a story years ago. It was this guy asking God for patience, and God answered him saying, "I can't give you patience, but what I can give you though is situations in which you're going to be forced to become patient." And every time, like right now, I'm in a weird spot. It's not easy. It's been hard. The past few months, it's been difficult on my girlfriend, myself, and still I haven't lost faith. It's been months. I don't even know what the goal is. A lot of people are always saying how you should have goals upon goals. Everything's defined. I'm like, okay, sure. If that's how you work, that's fine. I don't do that anymore. I used to. Now I don't have a goal. My goal is to be free. My goal is to continue doing what I'm doing. I don't really care about money. I don't care. I'd rather help people. As long as I get to sit outside every day smoking a cigar and reading a book while my dog just does whatever it is that she does, and my girlfriend has enough money to do whatever she wants, at the end of the day, I don't care. I just want to continue helping people, be free doing it, and if I want to get up at 3, I get up at 3. If I want to do something else, I do something else. If one day I start preaching in a small church, that's what I'm going to do. I don't know what the end goal is, man. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just know that's what I'm supposed to do because that's all I think about. I'm obsessed. So there's a reason why I'm obsessed, because nobody's telling me to do this outside of God. And this is one thing I've been pondering a lot recently. There's not a lot of people in my life. The more and more I dedicate myself to my faith and I just say, you know what, let's do it. Let's put everything you got into it. Then less and less people stick around. This is a part they don't talk about a lot. Like, I've never had somebody explain that to me before until I experienced it for myself, to understand that the more you dedicate yourself to something that is bigger than you, less and less people seem to stick around. It's an interesting concept because to me, I would be so inspired how much I would give to have people like me that's done it before, though. They're like 10 years ahead of me. That's been doing it for longer than I have, to just be there. That I can just call when I'm in, like, just, man, when I'm having a hard time, I'm like, man, this week has been hard for some reason. I would just love for somebody to say, suck it up, buttercup, let's go. Like, I've been there before. Stop being a little girl. Let's go.
You need that sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm a martial artist, bro. I'm hard-headed as hell. Sometimes all I need is a smack by somebody better than me just to bring me down a notch, like, just, or put me back on the right path. As much as I don't doubt what I'm doing, that I have 100% faith. Faith does not mean that it's never questioned. Having faith, you're going to question your faith all the time. So it's in those moments that I realize those are harder. It's hard, huh? It's hard to have good men. It's not something that's really part of our society today, to be surrounded by good men. There's not a lot of us left, and we seem to be pretty separated. It still baffles me. It seems to be pretty constant everywhere I go, and we've been traveling. We've done 23 states in the past 14 months, and I can tell you it seems like everywhere's the same.
So you've got a digital marketing agency as well that utilizes AI that streamlines content. So I'm going to give you a little scenario here. I'm a podcaster. I produce long-form content. The goal with that and the plan is to convert that content to text and video, distribute the text to either a newsletter, blog, and then bleed down from there, that Twitter and LinkedIn post. And then for the video, cut that up, repurpose it into YouTube and other social sites. But the problem with that is it takes forever. And the process, I know we don't have down, and I'm sure we're using the wrong tools and everything. From start to finish, What do I need to be doing?
It all comes down. This is one thing. I love saying this, especially when I'm doing a podcast. Long form content is dying if it's not already dead. I don't record. If you and I record a podcast together and I'm the host, I already have reels planned out and I'm not even started recording it yet. My podcasts are reels. I spend so much time creating long form content. I would sit down with people for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. They're world renowned. I'd show up there, set up my equipment, move, like just transport everything, setting up would take 5-6 hours. That's without editing. That's just the recording part. I haven't uploaded it yet. My guys haven't touched it. It hasn't been repurposed, just the recording. And then I came to realize that I would get a few thousand views on those videos. Right now, I have videos, man, that are doing 500 million views. Took me 20 minutes to make right off my cell phone. This was a painful realization. That kind of hurt my ego a bit to realize that I do not need that much in order to be able to create good content. So when I go into a podcast now, like I recorded a podcast that I turned into an interview with a pastor. We recorded for an hour and a half. I have 27 reels out of that an hour and a half. This was the intent. I asked him 27 questions. Now I have 27 to 54, depending if I start doing 2 to 3 minute, 4 minute video. But all to say that when I start long form, I already am thinking reels. Because reels king, man. No matter what, our attention span has gone down from 12 seconds 20 years ago to 8.25 seconds right now. So the average person has less attention span than a goldfish, just to put it into perspective. And I would argue that if your hook at the beginning of your video is not great and it doesn't capture attention within 2 to 3 seconds, you're done. You literally have 2 to 3 seconds. And I'm sure that you're guilty of that too. If you start, let's say I go on Instagram every now and then just to look at reels, because I love to use other people's content and create content on top of it, like really use them, talk about it, see what they're like, give my opinion
reaction
on what other
videos.
I do reaction videos when it's really funny and I don't feel that I have anything to add to it, but I just want to show it because it's hilarious. I'll do reaction videos, and people like reaction videos because it's super easy to download it and just repurpose it directly. It's not hard. But give credit where credit is due. So I'll just add my face to it in a corner somewhere, and a lot of it just do very well. But that's not what I mean. Like let's say you do something cool, I'll download it on my phone, I'll add something to it, I'll just use it to do something that relates to my content. I do that every day. I talk about a new subject every day, but always related to my 5 virtues of a good man, which I speak about all the time. But the point is that I always see long form content as reels. Now, you mentioned written content. This is another thing. I was just writing about this in my course this morning, where people take blog for granted. People don't create enough written content yet. As a guy that does hours of research every day on content, I read most of it. Like just today, I probably read tens, if not 20 different articles / blog just today. Sometimes I don't want to hear somebody talk. I don't want to see their faces. I'd rather just read it. I don't need to see somebody else's opinion through the text, right? And if I post a lot of stuff on social media, that means that if I have a website, good SEO on my website, and I have good SEOs on my blog, that means I'm tracking people. I'm attracting people from 2 different places. Wherever I rank on Google search and wherever I rank on my social media. Because this is the question I should have asked you. What's your goal? With all your content, what's your goal? Because I define what we call social media funnels. Like, what's the most highly viewed type of content you're capable of creating? And at the end of the day, what's the bottom of your funnel? Where are you trying to send those people?
That's one thing I was going to ask you too. Have you seen a difference in between your long form content viewers and your short form content viewers when you're funneling them into, say, a product, an online product, digital service? Yep. Have you seen a difference in between?
Right now, no, because my products are high end. I don't really talk about my products as much as I love sales. I don't like to sell on my social media. I'll put stories every now and then where I show, let's say I did one today, where I show that I made about 100.2 million views on my Instagram last month. And out of 1.2, 1.1, I only have about 6,000 people that interacted with my content that was my followers out of 1.2. This, you won't see those numbers anywhere. Like, I'm part of some masterminds where the guys that are on there are incredible. They're world renowned, like 4, 5, 600,000 followers on all platforms, if not millions. And their numbers suck. Their numbers are terrible. They're all proud to do a few millions. Bro, my Instagram has 11.5 thousand followers and I average millions of views every month. You suck. If I had your platform, bro, I'd do billions of views every year. You fucking kidding me? Sorry for my language, but it's one of those things that once you understand how the algorithm works, once you understand how to create great content, because a lot of big content creators out there are not great content creators. It's just they started pre-COVID. When you started pre-COVID, the algorithm liked everything. My Instagram account I started about a year ago. So I started after COVID. I started in a situation where the algorithm does not like you to grow without putting any money into it. And everything that I've done organically, I have not spent any money on my content. Because this is another fallacy. If you're not capable of pushing content organically, that means your content sucks. Either your content sucks, you're not targeting the right people, you don't know how to speak, whatever it is, there's something wrong with what you're doing. And putting all the money in the world is not going to change anything. Pretty much like AI. AI is not here to take your job just yet. So if you don't know how to use AI, you put garbage into it, guess what? It's going to spit garbage right back at you. AI is a tool to help you. So are putting ads or boosting your post. I should boost because I do. With those amount of views, I could add a 0 at the end of every month, but it doesn't matter to me right now because I'm not pushing a service. I help guys like you, for example. I record a lot of podcasts and I like to talk about what I do. And this is normally where I get customers from. Either the people that run the podcast or somebody that's going to approach me from the podcast. But outside of that, I don't feel the need to push it because my service is for a very small niche of people. If you're going to ready to invest thousands of dollars with me and really get to where you want to go, I have a no bull approach. If you're going to deal with me, you're going to get a guy that's going to be in your face, that's going to call your crap, that's going to tell you what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, and you're going to become great. That there's no doubt in my mind. But I don't have the time to deal with the people that just want to do it because it sounds cool. I want to do the guys that want to do it, that really need to do it because they have an obsession. There is something driving them. And this is a skill that they need in order to get their why, whatever their why is. But this is why at the same time, I'm writing a course right now that I'm going to give away. Like I'll give it for $100, $200 when most people out there, and there's no other course out there like the one I'm recording right now. I guarantee you that. I'm really going to show everything from I've written ChatGTP engines just to help content creators out there. So I will help people from that starts creating content or that are at a point where they need to grow a bit. They need a bit more understanding about how it actually works. So we're going to touch everything from niche to branding to NLP techniques on how to get better in front of that camera, tricks to record better, like going through all the myths, through all the crap. I show people how to use AI, where it fits in their platform, and show how to review the numbers, how to pivot, how to make your content great. Like really, it's a 101 that somebody can take from the get-go. I should be selling that for $5,000, but that's not my point. I'd rather sell 1,000 of them so that I can help men help other men. At the end of the day, that's what I want. And if I can make it available to them for $100, $200, I'll be really happy. And by doing this, there may be a % of them that are going to realize that in order to get to a point where you're really starting to have an impact, you're going to have a team. I have a team. This is the first thing you realize, how to create good content. As soon as you realize how to create good content, you understand that you need to create more good content. And this is what my course is all about. How do you create more good content faster? And then as soon as you realize how to do that, you realize that you can't do it alone, that you need a team. And this is where my high-end services are. Know what I mean?
Yeah. What kind of tools do you use, and then what's your team using as well?
My team use Premiere a lot. I don't use AI when it comes to videos at all. Like I do. Like I will do sometimes, but most of the time I don't. Because AI does a really bad job at editing videos.
That's true.
I can tell right away. Show me some videos, I can point out right away which one are done with AI, which one are done human. And when I say AI, a lot of people out there just use the AI and leave it like that. Like they'll have their branding, their coloring they'll have a certain feel to it. They'll add a little logo to it. But most of the job has been done by Opus Pro. But Opus Pro does a bad job. As much as it is the best one out there right now, it still does a bad job. It comes nowhere close to what I can do with my phone. Comes nowhere close to what my team can do with Premiere. So the thing is, for anybody out there, go to my Instagram. Look at the type of content that I create. I probably use 4 or 5 different types of content every day. And I don't create in advance, man. I create the same day because I'm very inspired by what's around me, what happens in my life, what people approach me with. I get people now that sends me videos and, hey, what'd you think about that? I'm like, oh, snap, I'm going to do something about this right now. I have folders upon folders of hundreds of reels that my team have edited. Never touch them. They're there. I'm just concentrating on existing content. So I've developed the skills to be able to grab my phone and start doing it right away. Just pick up my phone, start talking. So I think this is the point. We're all different. We're all absolutely different. You have a different style than I do. I like to try everything that's out there. I'm a nerd. By trade, I'm an engineer. So I love technology. I've always been around it. I will always be around it. I enjoy creating content. I enjoy editing it. My team does not edit my stuff anymore. They'll do certain things, but 95% of what you do, I've done it right here on my phone. So this is another thing. Know your tools, know what works for you, and develop a style that's yours. Because what I do might not work for you, and what you do would not work for me. It's all about, and I think this is my biggest, the biggest issue I have with a lot of marketing people out there, a lot of marketing agencies out there. They're not even content creators. How many times do I get approached by people? Oh, we could grow your Instagram. I go to the company. I'm like, bro, I've had more followers. I've had more views than you last month that you did in your whole life. What are you talking about? How are you going to help me? How are you going to help me if you don't post 5, 6, 7 times a day? How are you going to help me if you cannot do everything that somebody does in Premiere on your phone? How are you going to help me? I record from all over the place. It doesn't matter. I've been on the road for 14 months now. Yes, I have a high-end laptop that's powerful as hell, but most of my stuff does not come from my laptop. 95% of my content comes from my phone. Why? Because I can edit it wherever I want. I can do it wherever I want. How many times have I edited some videos with a cigar? I'm reading a book. I'm like, oh, great idea. Put the book aside, start recording, change my phone all over the place, and then pops it down, continue smoking my cigars. I'm editing on my phone. This is where the real talent is. If you look at a Gary Vee, for example, you think he cares that there's a camera? Do you think he needs to sit down and think about his content? No. He grabs a phone and he starts talking. This is the talent. This is where, so whatever you're doing, think about a podcast as a way for you to meet awesome people without sounding weird. I've discovered that years ago. I spoke to people that should have never given me the chance just because I had the balls to approach them, and I'm a sales guy, so I know how to speak to people. But at the end of the day, man, I could not approach them and say, hey, man, I love what you do. You want to grab a coffee for 2 hours so I can ask you a bunch of questions and girl out like a little fan? No. Hey, bro, how do you think if I shove 3 cameras in your face, microphones, and I start talking about your career? Oh, bro, that's awesome. That's what podcast is to me. You get to speak to people that are fucking awesome. This is what podcast is. You create great content doing it, split it in reels because most people will never watch the whole thing. It takes 7 pieces. It takes 7 touch points in marketing in order to sell something to somebody. If you're trying to sell your podcast, create 7 reels for every episode that you do, post 1 a day. That means you're posting a boatload of content, and eventually that guy's going to listen to your full content, to your full long form podcast, but most people won't. Most people don't take the time to sit down and watch a full podcast anymore. Even me, I don't remember last time I watched a full podcast. Have you? When's the last time you watched? I used to listen to Joe Rogan's podcast for 3 hours, no problem. I don't even remember last time I watched one of his podcasts. Has to be more than a year. Easy more than a year.
It's been a while. I have to split them up, of course, because they're longer than that. But I have one on my phone right now. I like the video version of them, but I'll watch them. But it'll take me, anything that's over an hour, it'll take me 3 or 4 sessions if I keep it up.
Yeah. And how captivating has it to be? Like, how captivating has the episode?
It's going to be good.
And that's my point. And are you going to listen to somebody you don't know to a full hour of his podcast? Nobody does. You might listen to it if you saw a few clips of him and you're like, man, that guy's awesome. Or, oh shit, you had a conversation with this guy? You knew one of the person that was on the podcast. You don't just on YouTube start, hey, podcast, and start looking at what people are doing. Nobody does that anymore. So that's why I'm saying long form content's dead. If you want to attract people, create reels, learn how to create short form content, learn how to write your scripts. I write scripts for every single of my video. It's normally written down. I don't follow it as in word for word what I'm saying. Just me taking the time to write it down. I can structure in my head. I don't do teleprompter stuff. I hate that stuff, but it just allows me to put my ideas together. A hook's a hook, man. If your hook sucks, your video sucks. Nobody's going to listen to it.
How are you coming up with your hooks? And what makes a good hook?
Attention grabber. That's the best way I can explain it to someone. Talk about your subject without talking about your subject. It's the best hook you can create. So let's say, give me a subject. Whatever the subject is, give me a subject.
Business.
Okay, if you want, so let's say that your video is about business. Your video is about how to integrate AI in your business. How do you speak about AI in business without mentioning the word business?
Do you niche down?
No, think about something that will capture people's attention. So as a business, what can you relate AI to business? People are scared of AI because it might steal their jobs. It might replace them in the workforce. Or on the contrary, it could be that AI can change the way your business works. It can streamline everything. So that could be your hook. Imagine let's say that integrating AI in your business. Can you imagine for a second that I could streamline your whole operation without ever having to hire one other person? What? You listen to my video. That's a hook. This is the thing, right? Is really to capture somebody's attention. So I'm telling you how I'm going to help you in business. I'm not telling you why. That's why I'm saying try to find a way to speak about what you're speaking about without really speaking about it. Because if I go right off the bat and I say, AI is the way you're going to change your business, people are like, yeah, I've heard that one a million times. Next. They're not, you've said too much, not what's important. You didn't captivate their attention. But if you say that I can give you one trick that will change the face of your business and you can do it without ever hiring anybody else. Any entrepreneur right there is, excuse me, you're either full of shit or something I don't know. Either way, I want to know which one it is. So you listen. I would take more time to write it so that it'd be faster because this is a bit too long in my opinion, but you know what I'm saying. What can you do to you have 2 to 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention. You're already niched down. If you're creating a video, if we're talking hooks, I'm expecting that you already know who your niche is, how you're getting. I imagine that your video is already in front of the right people. You just need to capture their attention. But I understand, I take for granted that your title's on point, that your description's good, that your video is well recorded, that sounds great, that your hashtags are on point, that you're posting at the right time, right platform, you're talking to the right audience. Because you could have the best hook in the world if you put it in front of, if I talk about business and somehow it ends up in front of gamers, they really could care less, right? That's why it's a science, man. Posting's a science. It took me so much testing, so much on, I probably spent 150 grand over the last year. Out everything. It's expensive, man. There's nobody out there that tells you everything you need to know. You can get pieces everywhere and put them together, but it's going to take you a lot of time, a lot of money to figure it out. And a lot of people out there think they know what they're talking about, and they really don't. That's why I'm saying, that's why I want to give that course away, because I feel bad, because I got screwed a few times. I really got screwed. What have you learned? What have I not learned over the past year? No, but seriously, man, I started with a few thousand followers. I started with barely 10,000 views a month. And within the span of a year, I've added like 4 zeros behind this. It's insane. I've added literally 3 zeros easy behind everything that I do within the span of a year, just because I dedicated myself to it. But I test every day, man. I tested a new style of video today. Just something, I know a guy that does those videos. I love the way he spins it. I've never been able, I'm not him. You can't copy other people. I have my own style, but I always find it, he's super sarcastic. All of his videos are like 15 seconds long and he's sarcastic as hell. And I'm a very sarcastic person too, but I've never been able to do it where I'm like, you know what, that's a good video. But I did one today, my sauce, my type. I love animations. I add a lot of pictures in my stuff. But just to say that I'm always testing. Even though I know what works, I'm always testing, always trying new stuff, always. And I look at it, numbers don't lie.
What is something more about than somebody else in your industry?
I'm a content creator. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're doing. Like I said earlier, a lot of people have such a big platform because they were at the right place at the right time. But you look over time, they don't grow. You look over time, they don't get that many views. It's really just because the empire was already built. Like it was built at the right time. If I would have started this 4 years ago, I'd have 1 million followers by now. The algorithm was easy years ago. Now it's hard. Growing on Instagram is hard, especially if you talk about the stuff that I talk about, because man, I get in trouble all the time. Like right now, my TikTok's was not moving, and my YouTube's not moving, my Facebook's not moving. My only account that's really moving is my Instagram right now. Last month, my Facebook was doing great. I was multiple million views at the end of the month just on Facebook. But now, terrible.
What do you do to fix that?
It's time. TikTok takes about 2 months, 3 months to clear your strikes. If you do stuff that they don't like just today, man, just before I jumped on here, I only follow like 10 people on Instagram, on TikTok, and one of them is Candace Owens. Big fan of Candace Owens, brilliant woman. I love the way she approaches things. Love her or hate her, she is a master at making videos. She's banned on TikTok. She just lost her account again. Insane. It's just, this account has been banned. I'm like, ew, snap. So this is where it's interesting. You need to know your boundaries. You need to know which boundaries you need to be able to play in, because it is easy today to say something that people don't like that will get your account banned. I got a video just this morning that was removed. It's been up for 3 weeks, 2 weeks maybe. It just got banned now. 2 weeks later, I had about 200,000 views on it because I went against their guidelines. Too many people complained about the video. Yet it's a video I found on Instagram. So that video is posted somewhere else in its entirety. I took a long form video, like I took a video that was maybe a minute long. I just showed the first 5 seconds and I gave my opinion on the video. And it was taken down for violence. Yet the video exists online on Instagram. But that's because people complain. This is the thing. If you start sharing your real opinion, you're going to piss people off. There's no doubt about it. People will report you, and that's what gets you in trouble. It's not the algorithm that hates what you're doing. It's people complaining like little girls about it that's bad for your content. Because the algorithm like the algorithm when you're posting, it's reviewing what you're doing. Like it tries it out right off the bat. Because post a video with the name Andrew and the last name Tate in it, TikTok bans you, like TikTok blocks it right away. It doesn't even let you post it. It's people complaining.
So what I'm hearing is to gain followers, gain an audience, consistency in posting.
100%.
Being your authentic self, being yourself, finding out.
Stand for something.
And finding your own voice in front of a camera.
Stand for something, first and foremost. Stand for something and don't be scared to stand for it.
Be true in that.
Niccolo Machiavelli explained that in his book, The Prince, 400 or 500 years ago. Never be somebody that is undecided. There's 3 types of people you're going to face in life. People that are with you, people that are against you, and people that don't know. People that are somewhere in the middle. And the worst place that you can be is somewhere in the middle, because even if you lose against an opponent, but you stood your ground, he knew what you were standing for, at least he'll respect you. I respect people I don't like. I don't like their opinion. I think they're wrong. But the fact that they have the balls to challenge me, the fact that they have the balls to stand for something, I respect that. Yep. So stand for something. If you're trying to speak to everybody, you're not talking to anybody. Stand for something. Don't apologize for it. Just, you know what? Do it. If you got something to do it. It sucks because sometimes your video sucks, but it needs to happen before you get better. That's part of the deal. But just do it, man. Know what you stand for. Know who you're speaking to. And don't be scared to do it. Or have the courage to do it, because being scared is totally normal. But just do it. Just do it and test it out. Develop your skills in front of that camera.
How many times a day are you posting? What would you suggest somebody to start with?
Man, just posting, I remember a year ago, posting once a day was hard. It depends where you're coming from. It depends what you have going on in your life. If you're running, if you have your 9 to 5, you have kids, posting once a day might be the hardest thing you can do. Maybe that once a day is really, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do once a day, but it's consistency. It's like going to the gym. You have to go to the gym 5 times a week. Awesome. Do it for a couple of months. Then it becomes normal. You just do it. But at the same time, again, it's funny because I was writing about this morning. I can tell you 2 things. If you're capable of posting once a day, you're capable of posting twice a day. Because think about it. You said reaction videos earlier. It takes me 2 seconds to do a reaction video. And I got a reaction video that I'm at 5.3 million views. I'm literally sitting on my couch without a shirt on and I'm listening to somebody say something and I'm laughing. That's the video. I generated 5.
Is that the one you're just agreeing with?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The only thing you need to do is research. A couple of hours a week, I'll spend on, if I have an evening where I'm not super busy, I'll be on my phone and I'll be scrolling through reels. Everything that talks to me, save. So let's say that today I just posted a reaction video now, clip from Family Guy that I used to love Family Guy. Then they went woke. I don't like Family Guy anymore. And now people are sending me, somebody sent me 2 videos this week of Family Guy and they're brutal. Love it. Absolutely love it. How do you call, oh no, I won't say it. You can go check. I don't want to get your episode banned because it's bad. But
don't do that now.
But all to say that if you're capable of posting once a day, one evergreen content, your content, what you created, you speaking in your phone, clip of a podcast, you doing something, like it's you voicing what you stand for. You're capable of doing a reaction video. And chances are your reaction video is going to do better than your video that you're doing yourself. But that's what I was saying earlier, when you have funnels. What's the easiest, most popular video you can create right now? Reaction video. By far. For the average content creator, that's the easiest one you can do. It takes no talent whatsoever, except finding good videos out there that reflects your opinion, and to stick your face at the bottom left and press record and get a good, you need to have good hashtags. You need to understand your niche. You need to understand your hashtags. You need to understand how to reach those people. But outside of that, once you understand that, doing a reaction video literally takes me 5 minutes. And most of my reaction videos will do 1,000 views, thousands upon thousands of views. So if I'm capable of creating 1 video, you're capable of creating 2. If you're capable of creating 2 videos, that means that you need to understand when your audience is online, what are your times? Because when matters. You want to post when there's the most people possible in your following that's going to see your videos. Because as much as 95 to 98% of people that see my videos are non-followers, it still starts with followers. If your followers online, they see your video, they like, they comment, the algorithm is going to push it more. But make sure you're responding. When you're posting, don't just post and disappear. Make sure that when you're posting, you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes afterwards. Because if you get likes, if you get comments, respond to them right away. Engage with your people. Engage with the people that engage with you. Create conversation. Don't just react with a thumbs up. Hey, I like your comment. No, ask that person a question.
Yeah.
See, and this is the thing. Those are super simple tricks, but people don't think about those. They just see, oh, yeah, he liked my video. Cool. No. Why not just ask him why he liked it? What did he like the most? Ask an open-ended question so that the person has to answer. Because by him answering, that means you can answer back. The algorithm sees 2 conversations. He sees multiple comments. And not only that, but you're getting to know your audience. I ask questions to my audience all the time. I got a guy just today, I posted something where I just started by, is it interesting? The guy answered, no, not really. I'm like, hey, thanks a lot for the massive contribution to my comment section. This was very enlightening. Like, the guy's a troll, but I'm going to troll him back because I love trolling people. But now I know he responded to me again, and I'm going to respond to him again. And then one time I'll get bored and I'll just stop responding to him. But all I'm saying is engage with your people. The least you can do is engage with the people that engage with you. If you're creating content and your goal is to help people, take advantage of the people that challenge you to challenge them back, to show your ideas, to speak about what you stand for. Because how many times do I do that? Like, I do a lot of news. I'm a big fan. Like, I love politics, and I love how I can use that and bring it back to what I want to talk about. How many times do I post something? I'm like, man, is this ridiculous or what? Leave me a comment below. Then people start commenting and I engage with them. Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. You think that? Really? Huh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Or what do you think about that? Okay, you're saying this, but at the end of the day, as well as I do, that's not true. Where's your study? Is that your opinion? Is that your feelings? Or is that actually a study? Because if it's a study, I would love you to just post it here so I can go check it.
Have you ever been challenged on a belief that you've been stuck on?
Bro, I myself on my beliefs all the time.
When was the last time something challenged your own beliefs?
It's been a while. I'm probably due. Now that you're saying that, I'm probably due for a smack in the back of the head. It's probably coming. But it's a good question because it's been a while. But I tend to challenge. I do a lot of research, so I tend to challenge my views all the time. Like I was saying this on a podcast this morning or yesterday, how people are so stuck up on agreeing with others. Like, oh, I don't agree with that guy, so that guy's full of crap. I don't know one person that I agree with 100%. I don't even agree with me from 6 months ago. I'm pretty sure there's stuff I said 6 months ago that I would look at. I'm like, bro, really? Challenge myself. I challenge myself all the time. It's been a while though since it's time for me to step it up because I've been recording a lot of podcasts recently, a lot of podcasts. And that tends to develop your ideas when you're capable of explaining what you want to say to multiple different people, one after the other. Like I've literally recorded more than 70 podcasts in the past 14 weeks, give or take. And I only record Monday to Friday, none on weekends. So I average 2 to 3 podcasts a day. And
wow.
Yeah, but that puts it in perspective, man. I can answer pretty much any question about content creation. I can answer any question about masculinity. Now I'm deep diving into Christianity. I've done 3 Christian podcasts over the past week or so. And man, I was like, oh man, I'm getting good at this. Because it's the questions that people ask you. But I did that for 12 years. My job was to sell very technical solution to clients and to be able to take very complex solution and explain them in layman's terms so that everybody can understand. So it's something that I've developed a long time ago. I just need the knowledge. I just need to know control the information that I'm talking about. But it's been a while since I've been challenged. So it's probably time for me to step it up. In the new year, that's the plan. My new year is to go on more and more feminine podcasts to talk about masculinity. This is where I'm going. I want to engage directly with feminists. I want them to have the balls to bring me on their podcast so that we can talk masculinity and how masculinity enables women to be feminine. That's what I want to talk about.
Going on it as a challenging or open mind?
Both. It's a conversation. Like, I have no problem with people not agreeing with me. This is not a problem with me at all. I'll give you all the time in the world to explain why you don't agree. All I ask is for you to respect me in the way that you distribute your ideas, because I will respect you. And if I give you the time to put your point together, allow me the time to answer, and vice versa. Allow me the time to ask you questions and take the time to answer them.
Joe Rogan was talking about doing something like this, wasn't he? Having some of the bigger public figures come on, him host a podcast, him host something. Yeah, and they have a good debate on it. That's
brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant to have somebody that will... This is one thing. Joe Rogan is brilliant. People underestimate this guy because he's a bro. People think that because people say he's full of bro science. That dude is extremely researched. If you look at the guests that appeared on his podcast, that he was able to have challenging conversations with, and you could tell that he knew what he was talking about. That guy's brilliant. Is he a dope head? Oh, absolutely. That guy has been punched in the face too many times. He smokes way too much weed, and he's capable. And you know what? You think he's an idiot? He's capable of doing it drunk and high. I challenge you to be able to just stand there and not sound like a moron. Don't even start having conversation with extremely intelligent people. Just be able to stand there without drooling on yourself. But I agree. It's an art. What he does is an art. Because he's very well researched, but he's very good at letting people speak. And he has people from all over the place. He doesn't need to agree with them. He doesn't need to disagree with them either. He challenges people. But he always, for most of the time at least, I haven't seen every single minute of every single podcast that he's done. So obviously I've missed some stuff, but he's always been very good at letting people talk in a way that's respectful. Because he goes 3.5 hours with people. And this is where I want to be, but I want to be in a place where they're going to challenge me. I want to go somewhere as a disruptor to say, those are your beliefs right now, and let's challenge them. Let's put your belief to the test and see if they uphold the test, if they uphold my questions, if they uphold my answers. Let's see how we feel after the podcast. Because, man, recently I was on a podcast with a woman, and we started talking before the podcast like we often do. It almost turned into a counseling session. She admitted that she was married for 18 years. She literally just signed the divorce papers. So it was just finalized within the week or the week prior to our podcast. And she admitted to me that she messed up. She admitted that she castrated her husband. She never allowed him to be masculine. And now that she's been single for a while, she understands that. She's like, nope, I did the worst thing I could do to a man. I did not let him be masculine. I tried to be more masculine than he was. instead of embracing his masculinity and me being feminine, I didn't allow it to happen. And now I want a guy that's going to let me be feminine. And I had one. And I broke, like, I literally, it's my fault. She's like, but unfortunately, I can't admit that to him right now because it's too fresh. She's not going to listen to me. But see what I mean? This is the thing. And more women are getting there. And I want to be that guy that shows up to just say, I'm not going to call you names. I'm not going to say, you look at an Andrew Tate, for example, I'm not the biggest fan. I agree with a lot of stuff that he says. I just don't like the way he presents his message. But he's not talking to women. He's talking to young men. But if I want to talk, 33 to 40% of boys right now are raised without their biological father in the house. I was one of them. So there's a massive percentage of boys that don't have fathers in the house. I want to talk to those mothers and say, listen, as a woman, you need to understand this right now and understand well. You cannot teach a boy how to become a man. Only a man can do that. And this is why. And I am the prime example. But that doesn't mean that even though that there's no father, and I'm not even going to go into why the father is not there, it's irrelevant to the conversation, but you have to have a man there. You don't know where to find it? I'll teach you. I'll tell you where you can go. I'll tell you what the skills he's supposed to possess. If you don't want your son to become like, to go through what I've been through, it's on you. That's your fault. It's in your power to change it right now, and here's how. It's a beautiful thing if you have the balls to do that. If you have the balls to take me over, because I can tell you that people don't. People don't like it. You ask me if I'm challenged often, not enough. Because they don't let me put myself in that situation. Does that make sense? They won't allow me to get challenged. I welcome it, man. Name me somebody that wants to challenge my views anytime. No problem. I don't even care if I'm the one that looks stupid by the end. I'll learn something.
I was just about to say that you'll learn something. That's kind of the approach that I have.
I've looked stupid so many times. I probably look stupid doing something today. Who cares? I won't remember it tomorrow, but I'll learn something. Peterson said something years ago, because I have problems with my memory and I've always wondered what the hell was going on. And Peterson said something one day where he said that if you don't remember a lot of your past, that's because you made peace with it and you've learned the experiences that you had to learn. So the event itself no longer matter because you've made peace with it and you extracted what you needed to learn. So what does the experience mean anymore? Nothing. So if you do stupid things, okay, it's going to suck on the day. You'll look like an idiot that day, or maybe your ego's going to be bruised for a few days, few weeks, however long. But deep down the road, do you remember those? No. What you remember is what you learned. Do you remember last time you really hit rock bottom, that you did not know how you'd get out of it? There was no light at the end of the tunnel. There was nothing. You're just like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then you look at this today and you're like, man, I could go through this with my eyes closed today. If I was put in that situation again, I know exactly what to do and I can start doing it now. No messing around. There's no nothing. I won't even need to put any thinking to it. I'm just going to do it because I know how to do it. I've done it before. But that's all that matters. Does the experience of going through it, or is it the learning that matters?
It would have to be the learning, because you can experience things multiple times and not learn from it.
My point exactly, which is what most people do. Most people spend their life going through. Einstein described insanity like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's how most people are. I use the word insane in my content all the time because people are insane. If you understand that the definition of insanity is how Einstein described it, this is my definition of insanity. People are insane.
It's such a triggering word for some people now.
Oh, most of the stuff I talk about is triggering. What a load of crap that is, triggering.
That's usually the more defensive somebody is. Usually means it resonated more with them.
Hey, one thing I've realized with time is if people are able to trigger you, that means you're easily controllable. If I can just show up and use my words and you lose your cool, brother, you are not in control of yourself. How many times have you been cut off in traffic and people are giving themselves the finger, they're calling each other's name? You know the guy that cuts you off, once this is done, he'll never think about you again. Yet, you're going to be thinking about that interaction for the rest of your day. Maybe an hour, 2 hours, the rest of your day, maybe the week. How much time have you wasted on this? That guy never thought about you again. Couldn't care less. He cut you off and he had a million other things in his mind. You really don't matter at all. And yet you're obsessed with what he did. How easily...
Give him all the power.
Oh, man. But this is the internet for you. The hardest thing to do is often do nothing.
Bringing back up being challenged, and I have to bring this up because this resonated so well with what you said earlier. Andrew Tate, you said you like a lot of things he says, but don't like his approach. I was actually, the podcast that I was listening to earlier was Andrew Tate was on this. This is a new one. Do you know who George Janko is?
George Janko. How do you spell the last name?
He's Aanko. Janko.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So he was Logan Paul's guy.
I don't know him.
He was on the Impulse podcast. Logan Paul's one of the co-hosts on that. He left because he's a Christian, and Logan was putting him down too much, essentially. Okay.
He called him, he broke down on a podcast, right? He's, bro, you're like my best friend, and you're always making fun of this. Yeah. Now that you, oh man, okay, it's because the picture that I have there, he looks very good, but normally he has a beard, he has the messed up hair.
Scruffy.
Yeah. The picture there, he's like in a beautiful suit. I'm like, I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know who you're talking. If he's the Christian guy, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He had a podcast that he released yesterday with Andrew Tate on it, and he actually challenges Andrew Tate on the same thing. Says, not about Christianity, but about his approach with things. He says, I want to get behind you. I want to be behind you. I want to get with you. But he says, I can't whenever you're saying this or that. And I died laughing, but he challenged him on that. He said, how can you go about it differently and not be so controversial towards the women or things like that? It was a really good point. And I was like, man, and it challenged Andrew Tate. It really did.
But he challenged him a few times though. Because I saw some videos, now that you're talking about it, there's a video of him where, because Andrew Tate's a Muslim, right? His brother, Tristan. I like Tristan. I'm a fan of Tristan. I love the way he dresses. I love the look. I love the way he approached things. He's a lot more calmer. He's a lot calmer than his brother. I'm ready to bet that he's the brains behind the operation, that he's a lot smarter than his brother too. Tate is the hothead. He's the fighter. He's the guy that his face made them a lot of money. But Tristan's the one handling the money. I'm ready to bet that behind everything, he's just too slick. And now, more and more, he's coming out. He's recording more and more videos. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But in that video, they talk about Christianity in that podcast, and George Danko just schools Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate says something about Christianity. He's like, wrong. And he just goes back and actually explains it to him. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But he's right, though. But
he's a smart guy.
But Janko's making a mistake.
Why is that?
Because Andrew Tate is not speaking to Janko. How old is that guy? How old's Janko?
Late 20s.
30. So he was born in 1993. So he's 30 years old. This is not who Andrew Tate speaks to. Andrew Tate speaks to... There's no way for me to know what his actual audience is, but I'm ready to bet that his target audience is 18 to 25. Just the way he talks. He talks very hothead, talks in a very, he tends to be, what's the word? What's the best way? He tends to talk down to people. But not in a way, I don't think he's trying to be, he talks out of ego. There's a lot of the things that he says that he talks out of ego. And I've known people that were around him, and supposedly that's a personality too.
It is.
He's not that hothead in real life. Supposedly it's he steps it up for the camera. Like he's a lot more low level, like he's a lot more relaxed in real life. And this is the impression that it gives me too, is he's really talking to 18 to 25. And it's interesting because I tend to come at it from a more intellectual situation too. Like I try to approach it with facts. I don't scream at people. But I try to do it more in an intellectual fashion. But my audience is not. My worst audience is 18 to 25. Most of my audience is between 35 and 45. So, and now over the past few months, I went from 10% female to more than 30. So I tripled my amount of women audience than I had before. And it's not on purpose.
Was that intentional?
No, it's really just that the more I create content, the more comfortable I am with my subject, the more I find better way to hook people up, to captivate and create more message that resonates with people. The delivery is better. I'm just getting better at my art. Yep. And to me, it makes sense. when I think about it, it makes sense that my audience is 35 to 55. Because you see the way I speak, I'm not a hothead. I try to be more chosen in my words. Yes, I swear, but I try to do it in a way that it makes sense, not just go off like an 18 to 25-year-old would.
Say it just to say it twice in the same sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking fuck. Yeah. But this is the mistake that a guy like George Jenko does, is that he expects him to be speaking to him. He's not. Tate is not talking to him. Tate is talking to guys 5 to 10 years younger than him. And there's a massive difference, hopefully, between a guy that's 18 years old and a guy that's 30. Hopefully, for most people. Jenko seems like a smart guy. So there's a massive difference between 10 years in a man. So, of course, he's going to agree. It's probably very similar to what I said. He agrees with a lot of what Andrew Tate says. He just doesn't like the delivery. He doesn't like the way.
He challenged him so much in that podcast. Andrew Tate, in one point, was agreeing, knew he was being challenged about him saying his delivery was wrong. He's like, yeah, I can do that, though. And was defensive about it. Not defensive, but saying, yeah, I can do that, though. I can do it. And it's a side that I have not seen of him before.
But people don't challenge him.
Which is pleasant. No, they don't.
Because you know what? I would welcome an opportunity to challenge him too. He doesn't worry me. He's a fighter. That's fine. I'm a fighter too. If if it comes down to blow, we'll have fun. But I'm not worried. What's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to knock me out or I'll knock him out. That's fine. I've been there before, so it's fine. Yeah. Whatever. But those are the conversations that are worth having. Those are the conversations that really should get there, is when people get challenged. Because people are scared of a guy like Andrew Tate. Because, man, if you want to challenge that guy, you better be ready. So that tells me that if a guy like George Jenko was able to challenge him, George Jenko came in prepared. He knew he did his research. He did his homework. He knew how to challenge him, and he practiced that message. He didn't just show up and, hey, I'm good. No, he's too young. 20 years from now, he won't need to prepare at all. He'll know how to take pretty much everybody. But if he challenged him, he's good, man. He did his research. And you know what's... He might not admit to that on camera, but I guarantee you that Andrew Tate went back on that airplane and was like, son of a... And he's just sitting there, man, maybe he does have a point. Because he's not an idiot. As much as I don't like his delivery, people that think that Andrew Tate's an idiot better look in the mirror, because the idiot's looking at you right now.
Yeah.
He ain't an idiot. If there's one thing he's not, is an idiot. You don't like him? That's fine. You don't need to like him. You don't need to like him to agree with a lot of the things that he says. Because a lot of the things that he says are absolutely right.
We all have those moments when something just clicks and that light bulb goes off. I call it the aha moment.
Sure.
I'm curious to know what your last aha moment was.
10 days ago.
Tell me about it.
Sunday, not last Sunday, the Sunday before. I grew up without a father. Like, my father left when I was 14 years old. He wasn't that present when I was younger. He was always on the road. And him leaving put me on a wrong path. Like, I was a high school dropout. I was an addict, an alcoholic. I sold drugs. I was a thief. I was a thug. I've done a lot of stupid things when I was younger. I was not a good person. And I don't have a relationship with my mother like today. Like, my dad, just put it in perspective, my dad left. I was 14, died when I was 29, and I probably saw him a handful of times. Like, maybe 5 times from those 2 periods. So he basically disappeared. And my mother doesn't really speak to me anymore. So I don't have a relationship with my family. Like, my sister doesn't talk to me. Neither does my mother. So we're not on speaking terms right now. So psychologically wise, the 2 people on the planet that should care about you don't care about you enough to have a relationship with you. I don't care who you are. This leaves a mark on you. This in the back of your head. And I was saying earlier that I can't count on a lot of people. Like, I only have a couple of friends, and they have their lives. I have mine. They have their trouble they have their own things to deal with. And I do a lot, and because I'm traveling, I do a lot of my stuff alone. A lot of the things that I do is myself, by myself, and I just know what's right. I know what's right because God's telling me, but it's a lonely path. I was in church, the pastor was talking, and I broke down. Literally, I broke down. I start crying. I'm just there with that. Like, the whole day I felt weird. I don't know if that happened. That probably happens to you. You get up in the morning, you're like, oh boy, it's going to be one of those days. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And I knew I was off all day, and I go to church and I break down. And I'm 6'1", 210, 215 pounds. I'm not a small guy, and I take space. And I'm just there bawling, like big, just crying. Then I close my eyes because I've learned a long time ago I don't shy away from suffering. I embrace it. I live it. I'm just like, you know what? This is happening for a reason. Let's see why. And I closed my eyes and I felt the touch of God. God touched my head. I broke down, bro. Like massive tears. I just broke down. I cried for 20 minutes. I realized that they always say in Christianity that God's your father, that he made us, but I never understood what it actually meant until that day. Like until 10 days ago, I understood that, yes, I might feel alone all of the time. Maybe my dad left. Maybe my mother won't speak to me anymore. But you know what? I've never been alone my whole life because he's always been there. And on that day, it clicked. I'm just like, oh, snap. I felt like an idiot. First and foremost, I really felt stupid. I'm like, man, how did you not understand this before? But this, to me, is powerful beyond measure. Like, this is top 3 most powerful experiences I've ever had in my life. I never have to worry to be alone. I never have to worry about nobody believing in what I'm doing because he does. I never have to feel alone anymore. Can you imagine that you could give that to everybody out there? Everybody feels lonely one day. Everybody at one point when they're alone with nobody around, they're like, oh man, I wish I had more of this. I wish there were more people around me that were like this. And the more you grow, the more you work on yourself, the more you go after what you want, the more you end up, you end up with less and less people around you. So man, that was a moment that will last for a lifetime. Like I don't think I've ever had a moment that was as powerful as this. And yet it was just me in church. Okay, God touched me. That's not small, but that's still such a simple realization that's going to change the rest of my life. My faith, when it gets challenged, is just, okay, I'm not alone in this. It's not even faith now. It's a certitude. It's more than faith. If I had a strong faith before 10 days ago, today is rock solid. I just know. I know that I can close my eyes and there's somebody there that is just going to be there. And sometimes that's all. I don't need somebody to tap me on the back. I don't need somebody to tell me that everything's going to be okay. But knowing that everything that I do, there's somebody behind me that just got my back. That's just there. That just means that loves me. Man, I don't think there's a more powerful feeling on the planet. And I felt it. It was not just, oh, I understand. No. I felt it.
What's stopping you from reaching out to your mother and that side of the family?
Ego. 100% ego.
I ask only because I lost my father in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a good relationship. Drug addict at the end of his life. We didn't see eye to eye at the end. We had a great childhood upbringing, but got into it later on. Sure. That's for another episode. And one thing I regret is we were okay towards the end there. I'd forgiven him and everything, but I fully didn't let it go. And I didn't fully bring that in. And that's why it took somebody the other day literally challenging me on that.
Yep.
A good friend just challenged me on it. And I'm thankfully did because he made me look at it a different way.
I have no animosity towards my father. I never got I wish I would have the chance as an adult, like as a man that I am right now, to just sit down with him and just say, you know what, bro? I understand my mother. For the longest time, I thought he was 100% at fault because all I heard is my mother's side. But now, having been a man, having dealt with my mother as a man, I can see that she was 50% responsible with it. I got a feeling that she made it extremely hard for him to come see his family. I'm not saying that's an excuse, because that's not an excuse. You should be more courageous than that. My father was a coward, no questions about it. But I wish I could have just told him, you know what, bro, it's all good. Don't worry about it. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be speaking about masculinity. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now with you at this moment if it wasn't for him. I'm grateful for what he's done.
Perspective.
Oh, but you have to. I don't live my life looking back. I live my life looking at what's going on right now. This is all we got is right now. When it comes to my mother, I just understand that for us to have a relationship means that I need to carry most of it on my back. I will have to concede. I will have to do a lot of the work because she's never going to change.
Yeah.
And this to me is not worth my time right now. As bad as this sounds, I have a path that I'm supposed to do right now, and the time is now. Does that mean that 6 months from now? Was that?
I was going to say the mental strain it would take for that on you.
No, not really. My mind is not there right now. I'm somebody that obsessed, man. If I have something in mind, if I don't even know what the goal is, I just know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I just do it. And nothing else matters. Like, I'm very ADHD, but I've learned to channel that into ultimate concentration. So I'm very good at having blinders and just doing what I'm supposed to be doing until I'm too tired to do it, and then I normally eat, and then I go to bed. But all I do is work, man. I'm obsessed by what I'm doing, so nothing else matters right now. And I'm just not ready time-wise to go through what it needs to, because the last time I had a conversation with my mother, it didn't go well. And it's my fault. I'm the one that... It's my fault in a sense that I should have known better.
You recognize that, though.
Yeah, but it needed to be said. I've said to my mother what I've wanted to tell her for 20 years. She's always been very good at bringing me back to when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, when I was not a good person. But my mother still sees me as that 20-year-old. She doesn't see me as the 41-year-old that I am today. I'm not the same guy I was 20 years ago, nowhere close to this. But there's nothing I can do to change that idea. She has her image of me, so does my sister. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah. She deserves to see this side of you too, though.
I agree. It's just that right now it's not a priority to me. Yeah. It's just I have other things to deal with, and I just don't want to deal with it. Right now, it's not the time. But her birthday's on Christmas in 10 days, and although she doesn't take the phone to call me, she hasn't. I haven't spoken to her since December last year, since the last time I called her. I'm still gonna take the phone and I'm gonna call her to wish her, even if it lasts 2 minutes. I'll wish her a happy birthday, and who knows how long that conversation is gonna go. But all to say that I'm still gonna go out of my way to call her, because she still deserves me to call her. But I'm not at a point in my life that I feel the need to sit down with her. Plus, I wouldn't want to do that over the distance, man. My mother's in Canada. She's very far from here. So, I don't know, man. I got you, though. I fully understand. I fully agree with you. I wish I would have had that with my father. I get you. And I agree. Yeah. You're absolutely right. When it comes to that, you're absolutely right. It's a small step to not live in regret. It's a small thing to do, man.
And I don't say that with an agenda at all. I honestly just said that to see where you're at on it. Just because it's always good to, like you said, it's good to be challenged with anything.
Yeah, but again, those things don't really challenge me, because I've asked myself that question all the time. Something I ponder all the time. I spend a lot of time thinking about my actions, what I've done, what I'm doing. Why am I doing it? Am I really being truthful in what I'm doing? Something I ask myself every day. Do I really do it out of selfishness, or do I do it because there's an ego involved? Why am I doing this? Why do I do everything that I do? Is it truthful? Am I really trying to do God's work, or am I feeding my ego to... I'm something reading else, Tim Keller right now, and Tim Keller is good as asking those questions. I'm like, you son of a... Yeah. So,
get real with yourself.
But you have to. If you can't be true to yourself, who else are you going to be true to?
So we're getting pretty close here to the end. I want to respect your time.
Yeah, man.
I want to ask you this, though. If I
got to respect your time, but one more question.
Yeah, one more thing for you to pour out your heart to me.
Yeah, man.
If I pray for you, what should I pray for?
Don't pray for me, man. No, you got nothing to pray for me. Pray that... okay, I'll give you an example of how I am. My girlfriend and I right now don't have the most money. We're investing. Everything's being invested in the business. And we're not really going to buy ourselves nothing like something for Christmas. But yet today we spent $150 buying gifts for a 14-year-old guy that we'll never meet, just because there's kids out there in Alabama where we're from that our church is associated with that would not receive any Christmas gift if it wasn't for other people to find it out of their hearts to do something for them. So this is what gift. Last year I found a guy that lived in his car to spend Christmas with my girlfriend. We're in Austin, Texas, and he spent Christmas with us. He ended up staying with us for 3 weeks after that. But I do that all the time, man. Don't pray for me. I'm just another guy, man. I'm just trying to leave this place a better place. That I try to make sure this planet's a better place with me in it than without. Right? That's all. At the end of the day, that's all I want. So don't pray for me. Pray for the guys that can't find a good woman. Pray for the woman that can't find a good guy, because that breaks my heart. It bothers me that 50% of relationship end up in divorces. That bothers me. Pray for those boys, like this boy that my girlfriend, when she dropped off the gift when we started recording. Pray for him to find a family. My life doesn't. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I have purpose. My life makes sense. His doesn't. This is who we should pray for.
Nico, where do people need to contact with you?
NicoLagan.com. Just go to my website. All my socials are there. Everything that I do is on there somewhere.
Man, it's been a blast.
We've been all over the place. Huh?
I know. I like this. That was good, man. Hey, if you're still listening, hopefully you got some value out of this or amusement. Either way, I really appreciate you for listening. My goal with this podcast is to build something of value while also showing others that it's possible to do the same. And what I mean by that is I'm not perfect at this. I fumble, I stutter, and I just want to show that it's okay. If you've been putting something off, this is me telling you to go for it. So I need your help in growing this, and there's two main ways a podcast grows. One is through ratings and reviews, and two is through word of mouth. So I can only do it with your help. If you can leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as post this to your social, it doesn't grow without you. Thank you. Talk to you all next week.